Bacardi is different.
Bacardi is actually quite gross.
Whew. It like has like a sweet like pineapple first and then gasoline at the end. The finish is
so that's
terrible.
What you're drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Lead us in, dog. What are we doing here?
Am I slow? Am I first? Cheers.
Oh,
You fucking moron.
A freezing cabin in the Tennessee woods. 5 college kids, a tape recorder they should never have played. That's where this starts. One of the cheapest, nastiest, most genuinely cursed horror films ever shot.
But here's what nobody tells you about The Evil Dead. It doesn't end in that cabin. 3 movies later, the lone survivor is standing in a department store, torn shirt, sawed-off shotgun, telling the checkout girl, "Give me some sugar, baby."
Tonight, we're doing all 3. The original horror film banned around the world. The sequel turned its own franchise into a Three Stooges routine with a chainsaw, and the one where a retail employee fights a skeleton army in 1300 AD.
3 movies, 1 idiot hero, a pile of fake blood, a frozen camera, and a guy named Bruce Campbell who put his family's house on the line to finish it. And somehow the whole thing exists because Stephen King wouldn't shut up about it.
Pour yourself something strong, because we're going on a road trip to a cabin. Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Horror Whiskey Podcast. I am your host, Peter. The guy dancing, he's got all kinds of fancy moves over there. Big time moves. Ooh, what is he doing next? I don't know. Is it a sprinkler? Is it the cha-cha? You really can't tell. Is he boxing? That's my guy, Jamie.
I'm just kind of waving my arms. I'm Jamie. Yeah. Hello. Thank you so much for coming in to this episode of Horror Whiskey Company. If you clicked because you love the Evil Dead, so then you are in the great place, because so fucking do we. We are a great podcast who usually covers true crime, horror, and anything crazy that you want to talk about. And we are very excited to talk about one of my personal favorite trilogies in horror, the Evil Dead trilogy by Sam Raimi.
You have been waiting to do this movie for a very, very long time.
I feel like I have.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I have.
I think I bullied you into, when we first started this podcast, into like doing all the things that were nostalgic for me because they're just better.
Excuse me.
So like literally episode 2 of the entire podcast was Blair Witch Project, which is nostalgic for me. But this whole trilogy is, I think, maybe like, is it the most nostalgic movie franchise for you personally?
It's damn near, I would say.
Do you have a hat that says that?
I do. Obviously, I do. You know that. I would say my childhood was deeply based on these movies. I'd say it was what got me into horror.
True. Yeah, because it's kind of your introductory, like, it's like almost marketed to children to not be for kids.
Yeah. But
it's like, children, don't watch this, but like, it's about you, so watch it.
But Army of Darkness, when I was in 6th grade, was the movie. I'm like, this is the funniest fucking thing. This guy just slews women and he kills everything, and it was hilarious. So this is a very personal project, or they say passion project.
Yeah, I think of any like franchise that we've covered so far, this is maybe like the most like near and dear to your heart specifically. So I'm happy we eventually got there, because you've been telling me to watch these movies forever. Like,
I know, and you just wouldn't do it like
years and years before we even started this podcast.
Like a fucking
I remember
dickhead
you and friends making fun of me for like, not even, I didn't not want to watch it. It wasn't like, no, I refused to watch it. Just like, I don't know, there's a lot to see in this world. And for whatever reason, I didn't take it upon myself to bless myself with what this franchise really was. And I should have listened to you 10 years ago when I met you.
I'm excited to hear.
God damn, is this a good fucking franchise?
Yes. With that being said, please like and subscribe to our podcast because we're slowly dwindling. And like a flower, we need more subscribers.
More sunlight.
So I can grow.
The sunflower.
And grow. So please.
Yeah,
please,
Jamie needs to
please.
get bigger.
I do. I don't. I need to get smaller. But you're getting fat.
Give him sunshine. Give him sunshine, not cheesesteaks.
If you only knew how good the cheesesteaks were, buddy.
I know. I can't. I always make fun of you about it. And I'm not fat shaming you. I'm mostly just jealous.
Yeah, dude. Could you imagine if you lived in a world where the best sandwich is a controversy because you live in a world of great sandwiches?
I can't even imagine what that world would look like.
No.
Anything else before we fucking go?
Nah, dude.
Like, I'm gonna call it twig deep into this. Into this.
Well, are you asking if I built a specific cocktail for the night?
Oh, sorry. We're gonna talk about what we're drinking. I completely spaced that whole thing. We have sponsors for the episode. I'm gonna go through mine obscenely quickly. I am always drinking Modelo, and I have because Jamie, what time of year is it?
It's rum summer.
It's rum summer, baby. I have Montana rum, built out of Crested Butte, Colorado. It is a Platino. It is aged 1 year in a virgin oak cask. So, hey, it's got at least a little bit of flavoring to it. Jamie, what are you shooting? Because I know that it's not aged hardly at all.
I was shooting Bacardi.
I know. And that is as clear can be.
It's actually pretty bad.
Yep.
But what I've concocted is what we call pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So, would you like to know what I've got in this glass tonight?
Wow, that is a big, tall glass of, I'm assuming just booze. I'm sure there's no filler in that.
That is no filler at all. I am going to be hammered.
Yep. That's why I put all your reading up front.
Well, thank you. Peter's me mad at me, but someone's got to make cocktails that are cured or based on this show, and I did.
Oh.
So, without further ado, I named this one Chainsaw Fuel.
Ooh, I like that.
Because
through breakdown.
Because I thought it was going to taste like straight gasoline, what I made. But it turned out to be fucking incredible. I wanted to keep the rum summer in mind. So I wanted to use rum. And I thought I had some dark rum and I didn't. So I had to kind of tweak it a little bit. So the base of this is Bacardi.
Okay.
An ounce, and then an ounce of Old Grandad because I didn't have dark rum. So I threw whiskey in there to kind of make it seem like it was a darker rum. And then knowing that we have a kind of zombie killer movie I'd add something little flair of green or gross. So I put
mind blown, dude.
I put Midori in here.
Yep.
And then the next thing I did, instead of doing a straight zombie like the tiki drink, is I put Averna.
Of course you did.
Because I love Averna, and that's what I had. And then I had to figure out a little bit of citrus, so I put some lime in there. And so what we have is, and Angostura bitters, because I feel like Chainsaw Fuel. and it is surprisingly, it's
you
so
said
fun.
you have Ango in there?
Yeah. So yeah, I put some Ango in there too, just to kind of balance it out.
Okay, so if I'm reading this correctly, you have ounce of white rum, ounce of bourbon. You're running 3/4 lime,
half an ounce of lime,
half ounce lime, half ounce Averna,
1/4 ounce of Averna.
Okay, just a little dash. Okay, and then you have what's the one that surprised me?
Half ounce Midori.
Midori. Is any melon liqueur gonna work? Does it got to be Midori?
No, give me any melon liqueur.
Love that, dude.
It is
my guy.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it sounds delicious.
Surprised because I thought this was to be garbage. I'm like, this is
okay. So you go
good.
1, half, 1/4.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Because I knew
I'll be making it tomorrow.
Because I knew lime and Averna would like overpower it. So I'm like, hey,
Averna plays so well though.
It's my favorite Amaro for putting in cocktails.
It's sweet, but it's bitter. It does everything you needed to do.
Yeah, this is maybe the best cocktail I made.
It's a cheat code
on the show.
Really? Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
All right. So you really are going to be like super hammered because you're going to make like another one of these?
No, there's no way I can make another one of these.
Yeah, because you drank all the Bacardi.
Sorry. I'm not sorry, but yeah, I might be hammered.
Well, without further ado, we're going to get started on another titillating episode of Horror Whiskey Podcast.
It's always funny how we always just say titillating every single time.
No, you try to say titillating and you never really land it. So I had to just titillatingly, you just like start kind of just throwing in like things before and after.
So you're mocking me is what you're doing.
I am mocking you. It's mostly what I do.
I'm out of here.
Easy, dude. That chair's about to start spinning around and yelling sayings from the Necronomicon. So
I just had to shut the door. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. We're at The Evil Dead 1981. You want to just rip us through?
Yeah. So 5 college kids, 1 remote cabin. They find a tape recorder and the Book of the Dead. The Necronomicon Demento. Play the tape. You wake the Kandrian demons. One by one, the friends get possessed, shrieking, cracking husks, and Ash spends the night dismembering everyone and he shows up with. But sunrise, he's the last one standing. Sequel hook, maybe not for long.
Yep. So this movie was released in 1981 on October 15th. So this is an old ass movie. This is older than you are.
Yes,
right?
It's true.
But wide release is coming out in April 1983. This is director and writer Sam Raimi's feature debut. He's 20 at the start of the shoot of this movie. We have producers Robert Tapper, he's one of the shemps in the movie. Pretty much they're just like the people that like kind of step in and be like the weird body doubles. And then we have the star / executive producer Bruce Campbell, aka Ash. This is originally bought by Renaissance Pictures and is distributed by New Line Cinema in 1983. The budget, they raised $90,000, which by the time they finished and produced the movie had ballooned up to $375,000. Box office run is $2.4 million initially, which has now accumulated over its lifetime box office, meaning people love this movie and they keep putting it back into theaters. We're at 29 million lifetime worldwide box office. Runtime is 85 minutes and it's pretty much one location shot at an abandoned cabin in Morriston, Tennessee in the winter of 79/80. So first honest reactions to this movie. You have seen this movie a lot of times. I'm going to preface this now because it was a big deal. I never watched any of these movies. Now, I have seen the remake of the original Evil Dead. I watched it in theaters in 2013 when it came out. But does this movie made in 1981 hold up today, 45 or so years later? Does it hold up?
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie fucking slaps.
It's so good. My favorite part is just like how dramatic the music is at the beginning. It's because it kind of seems like it's gonna be a serious horror movie, and then like at the end they're like, oh, maybe not.
It's so funny though.
Well, like
because
halfway
this
through,
movie really can't decide what it wants to be. I think the big question I have for going back and watching this movie, especially with how often we are watching either remakes or just like we're invested in this horror business, and I think it's worth considering whether or not this movie really does hold up. And like, to me, it was a really interesting watch. I would say specifically this first one, I would say was the most interesting to watch from a technical standpoint. I was like analyzing the movie. Whereas the later iterations, it, by the nature of the movie, kind of takes you out of analysis, where you just start to accept the movie for what it is. And I think this first one definitely made me like, look at the movie itself and be like, wow, this is like such a, shot on the budget that it was shot on. We're talking about $90,000 at this time. That's a lot back then ish. Not a crazy amount, but like they shot it, and then mostly marketing and post procedural stuff is what boosted it up to that like $300,000, almost $400,000 thing. But they shot the movie for fucking $90,000.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that this is definitely Sam Raimi's first ever movie, and you could tell from the success of it, like from Evil Dead 2, like the jump between the two kind of shows you what he was capable of.
Yeah, I thought that, like, I think the biggest thing that stood out for me was obviously, not to dog it at all, the writing is maybe not the strongest, but his use of effects, whether it's practical, like at this point, there's nothing but practical effects. And through this, especially the original trilogy, like he gets into later stuff where he gets to use digital effects. But man, does he know how to use effects really, really well to like sell something big happening. I was honestly impressed by, this is obviously a B horror movie film that has stood the test of time and is maybe regarded as the best B movie horror film to ever exist.
Well, you think about like just like the budget, and it's just like the first original dead person who's in the cellar is completely caked up, and all like arms are just disgusting, and face is disgusting, and everyone else has like a little tiny paint on their face. It's just like, oh, I'm also a zombie, I'm also dead.
Like we did the first one really big.
Well, like, oh yeah, we ran out of money, but everyone else kind of gets like clown makeup.
But anyways, I thought that like the entire franchise gets this incredibly cool like introduction to the series by, it's not necessarily like the movie is made cheap, but it is very rough from the get-go. And I think that for the most part, it lends itself to what this series really is it is an homage to the darkness. And I think that like not having the budget to doll things up and just like, this is crazy and we want nastiness and we want gross and we want evil, like you can feel the evil even though it's made in fucking 81. Like I've seen movies that are made in the 90s and the 2000s that feel less evil, I guess I would say. Like, they feel cheap. But this isn't cheap.
More budget. No, this definitely makes you...
It's raw, but it's not cheap.
Yes, it's just the writing seems cheeky, but it's also like kind of well done, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that it knows what it is and doesn't try to make any excuses about that. The last question there, we're going to just like not even engage with because we're just going to move right past it. So take it away.
Okay. So the origin. 3 childhood friends from Michigan, Raimi, Campbell, Tipper, had shot Super 8 together for years. What does that mean?
It's the type of
just like the camera,
yeah.
To fund a real feature, 20-year-old Raimi made $1,600 proof of concept within the woods.
Quick little like snippet that they kind of shopped it around as like trying to get investors like, hey, we want to make a movie. What do you think? This is a part of it.
One weekend, fake blood from canned cherry cobbler and used it to pry $90,000 out of friends, family, and local investors. The kind of money you raise pitching dentists and doctors to finish it and blow it up onto 3mm. Bruce Campbell put his family's property up as collateral. Is the funding story there 3 nobodies levering their family home the real horror here? Does knowing the sacrifice change how you watch the finished film? Or the budget $90K to $375K? Where do you see that money going, and where do you see the lack of?
Well, okay, so to start things, and we can talk a little bit more as we go through about this, the funding story is really interesting. We have these 3 children, I'm going to call them 3 kids. They are film students out of Michigan, and they decide to go make a movie. And it's kind of like weirdly a very, very similar story to how the Blair Witch Project was made, where it was 3 people that decided that they were going to go make a movie, and then they kind of shopped it around after that. And it's a newer world than Sam Raimi lived in when he first was 20 years old, right? They ended up getting $90,000 to make the movie, whereas Blair Witch got scooped up and pretty much became a global phenomenon before it was even released. Anyways, going back to it.
We're talking 20 years difference, though. Like 1979 to 1991. Like, that's a huge difference on getting things picked up.
For sure. Well, that's what I'm saying is like the marketing was just so much more, the reach on who you could shop your film to was just so much higher. Like literally Sam Raimi went around, like you mentioned, like to doctors and stuff like that, being like, hey, I want to make a movie. Is there any chance you think you want to throw $1,000 at this movie? And they'd be like, can I clean your teeth and have you as a client for the next 10 years? And he's like, sure, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to finish it, like, right, we have Bruce Campbell, who pretty much, I think he had maybe some, like, I think a grandparent or one of his actual parents passed away, and he pretty much put up the mortgage on his family's house as collateral to pay for the major production on this movie. And I just like, there's a reason why Bruce Campbell becomes the guy in this entire series, is because 1, he is a kick-ass actor, but 2, because he's dedicated to what this movie's vision is. Like, it's not like he's a guy that they got to come do this. Like you talked about, there's 3 guys from this same town in Michigan that have a vision. And I'm sure, like, I don't know exactly how their relationships were, but Campbell and Raimi's relationship has been so strong. He's been in like almost every movie that Sam Raimi has ever made.
No, I'm pretty sure that Raimi puts him in every single movie that he's ever been in.
Yes, because
I don't think he was in Send Help because Bruce has cancer right now.
Yeah,
but
this is kind of the point that I'm trying to make, is like Bruce went way above and beyond to try to make this whole series, like just this first movie, happen.
Mhm.
And without that, we don't have this movie, we don't have this franchise, and we don't have the fucking 10 films that are whatever going to be for the long span of what this movie series is going to end up being.
We also don't have Sam Raimi. We don't have
Sam Raimi, and we also don't have Bruce Campbell, who became such a staple for this kind of horror.
Well, and also both of them are like juggernauts in their fields. Like Sam Raimi literally did superhero movies. He did the original Spider-Mans. He did
all the Tobey Maguire ones, right?
Yeah, he did all three of the Tobey Maguires. He was Doctor Strange.
Yep.
One of the Doctor Stranges. That's huge. And Bruce Campbell is probably the best horror movie guy.
I think he's iconic is what we would say.
Yes,
he is a cult man. Like, this movie became a cult classic because these guys were so dedicated to what they were doing. I don't know if we have a whole lot more to add into that. I think we could probably move into the next set of questions, but like the production was its own horror story. So the crew spent 6 weeks in a freezing Tennessee winter in an abandoned cabin with no real facilities. Pretty much what you see in the movie is what you're getting on screen, right? Like, it's not like the toilets were like totally functional or they had like a hotel right next to it. They were out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they had to like thaw out the camera equipment in front of the fireplace that's in the movie. They didn't use blanks. They shot guns off and blew out real glass, not like the fake stuff that happens in Hollywood today. One of these in the original, like, you see there's a point where a camera operator slips and like runs the rig that the camera's attached to into Bruce's face, knocking out his own teeth. And when actors bailed or needed to take a break, anyone around just like put on a costume and what they called like became fake shemps after the Three Stooges. Pretty much they pretended to be this person that they were supposed to be. There was also like, as things are, the pretty much iconic Evil Dead scene is shit running through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
They just pretty much bolted a camera to a 2x4 and just sent someone sprinting as fast as they possibly could through the woods with that. It wasn't like they didn't have, what do they call them today? Like the thing that balances.
Gimbal?
Gimbal. Yeah, they had no gimbals or anything like that. Like, it's 100% as raw as you can possibly shoot it. There's no smoke and mirrors. This movie was as raw as it comes.
Yeah, I would expect from 1979 they don't have gimbals.
Yeah. So anyways, is the making of the Evil Dead like just as terrifying as it would have been to actually be in the movie or like to see the movie itself?
No, I don't know. You forgot to mention that the cabin burned down after production.
Yeah, but that's
It's
like
no
one of
longer
those
there.
super weird things, man. Like,
no one knows.
I don't
right?
know why that happened. Yeah. That's really weird. Which makes the whole thing, like, I guess, at the end of the day, even scarier for sure. Because not only do we have this kind of, let's call it a horror story of a photo shoot, or like a movie shoot, but also you go back 2 years later and the fucking house that you shot the entire terrifying Evil Dead movie in is gone.
So what you said, is making of Evil Dead scarier than the movie itself? I don't know. I guess it had to be
sounds
there.
Brutal. Yeah,
It does.
Again, it's a similar question that we've already asked, but like, does the desperation or like the do-it-yourselfness on screen read as like hype, or does it read as like, that's like a little rough? Like, they could have done this better.
I couldn't do a better job than what they did, so I think I would give them a 10 out of 10 for this.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, right. I don't know what else
are you
going to
do in 79, right? Like, yeah, this and again, looking back at like the practical effects that they did were so good.
Just like, I feel like
they're cheesy now, but
yeah, but like the brain, like the whole head just like turns into what obviously is Play-Doh on the ground.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that scene.
But just like the stop animation and everything that it took to make that was like fucking killer. And to know that it was just these three dudes with a vision, you're like, this is the reason why they were, I guess, two of them. I don't know what the other guy did. But
yeah. Well, there's a lot of like, I think his mom is in the movie. There's literally, I'm going down the list. Whose mom? Tapper. It is Bill Tapper.
Oh, so
I can't.
Well, I don't know. Like, what has Bill Tapper done since this?
Robert Tapper. Yeah, Robert Tapper.
Robert?
Nothing really. He pretty much is like the primary. Like, he's the producer. He was the one that honestly got Sam Raimi most of the money. He has at least 2 family members that stand in as these, what we're calling like fake shemps.
Okay.
You look at what the cast of The Evil Dead is, and there's Bruce Campbell. So you have Ash, you have Cheryl, you have Scott, you have Linda, you have Shelley, and then everyone else is just fake shemps. And it's like, there's like 15 people listed. Some of them are like actual like actors, but most of them aren't. They're just friends that were there.
Well, it just kind of shows just how much appreciation that they had for people that helped out with this movie. They're like,
yeah.
Or the
dedication
fact that
was real.
They just didn't have any money. They're like, dude, please come be part of this. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? The tree scene, the one everyone argues about. Cheryl wanders into the woods and is dragged down and assaulted by the possessed force itself. Decades of backlash and accusations of misogyny followed, and Raimi himself eventually disowned it and calling it unnecessary, gratuitous, and a little too brutal, but it was also part of the film, felt generally dangerous in 1981. Indefensible or essential to what makes the movie what it is.
I think that if we're looking at this movie on a grand scheme of things, it's one of those things that makes the movie stand out. So yes, Sam Raimi may disown it, but the movie's not what it is without, oh, that was fucked up kind of situation. Like, there's a reason why some movies, they're like, oh, that's like an okay movie, but they do these really fucked up things here and there, stand out. And I think that this is one of those like kind of situations. Like, was it necessary? Is it essential to the plot line? 0%. But does this movie have the impact it has without that scene? 0%.
Yeah. I think especially in 1979, if you dance around being like controversial in a horror movie, you're not going to get as successful as you are.
100%. You can't look at it through the lens of a modern, like with any of this shit. Like, it's the tough part of like living in the world today is that like people get canceled for shit that they said years and years ago because it's like, it's a different culture. It's a different climate. Like, you don't really know what.
That time that fake tree hurt that lady. That's misogyny.
That didn't even really happen. It's like, what? I don't even think I really even knew what happened.
That's so misogynistic. That fucking tree and entity is not a dude. Chill out. Get off the internet. Go outside and do something.
Touch grass, pretty much. Yep.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Does the director own regret settling the argument or not?
No, we already talked about it. It's just like, I get that he is mostly, I would say Sam Raimi is coached by PR all the time. He's a highly successful director. He knows what he needs to say. And he's saying, no, I didn't mean to make the forest rape this woman. It wasn't that I wanted that to happen. It was something gratuitous, and I'm sorry I did it.
People need.
But anyways, yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just like, I don't think that it's something that I understand why it was a big deal. Yeah, it's like, whoa, that was fucked up. Remember when that happened in that movie in 81? But like, one, crazier shit in real life has happened since then. And especially in horror, we've seen way more fucked up shit happen that, like, I don't think he needs to necessarily apologize. I think that it's a fucked up thing, and like, own that though. Don't disown it.
Yeah. Hey, all your favorite NFL stars hit their wives and girlfriends every single day, and we still let them play. But you're gonna shit on someone for making a movie about a woman getting accosted by trees in 1981.
People need new hobbies.
Go outside.
Yep. So, by 1982, the film had no U.S. distributor. Studios including Paramount passed for the film being too much, in their opinion. But it did screen at Cannes, and it was on the market with Stephen King in the audience, who reportedly screamed and shouted when the movie ended. The sales agent told Raimi to ask King for a quote. Now, initially, King refused a quote and then came back and said, hey, I'm not going to give you a quote on the movie. I'm going to write a whole review for Twilight Zone magazine instead. And he handed them this huge, massive, like, article that he wrote about seeing the movie, which is pretty much a glowing review. But there's one line in it that pretty much runs on everything, even on the initial poster that they used when they actually went to market with the movie in 1983, claiming that Stephen King said the most ferociously original horror film of the year, with Stephen King's little name right underneath it. Pretty much Sam Raimi said flatly that without it, that movie would have been lost. The twist, the same gore that got it banned in the UK, Video Nasty banned, released it became like released censored in 1990 and was only fully uncut in the year 2000. So anyway, yeah, this is kind of like a little bit of a strange question, but like, it's not necessarily even really a question. Without Stephen King, does this movie really move to the, I would call it full on, it's maybe the best cult classic horror movie in its own genre, maybe ever. But without Stephen King, does it move to that point?
It's hard to say because what we have in life happened. So no, Stephen King made it what it is, but it's a great fucking movie. So maybe even without him, it would still get legs. Yeah. It was very helpful that Stephen King was like, this movie is sick. And it was sick. Yeah. You think about like 1979, this movie is fucking awesome.
Yeah, this movie rips. I'm looking at what was released by Stephen King in 1979. He has The Shining coming out in 80. What does he have? Hold on. Maybe that's actually... Okay. Stephen King books. So we have Shining coming out in...
Dude, I cannot believe how good this cocktail is.
It's good. So Shining comes out in 77. Then we have It, which is released in 86. So that's not so much, but we have, let's see, 78 is The Stand, Carrie, 74, right? So we have Stephen King, Salem's Lot, 75. Stephen King has definitely established himself as kind of like the horror dude, even by the time that this movie comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
So his nod really does move this movie into a whole new level. Movie is banned because of the gratuitous violence and all of that. Now, does a banning necessarily hurt or help this kind of movie?
I think it's actually more helpful.
I think in the long run, it has been helpful. I think that the reason why this movie is a cult movie and not something that people were clamoring over in the 80s is because it was banned and people were like, whoa, I can't watch that. That's too gratuitous or whatever. But now we're like, oh, that movie's, it's great. It opened the doors to all this other shit. Yeah.
You think about like Paranormal Activity, like the marketing on that, they're like, this is like a real life scary entity. And that movie was huge because of that.
Yeah.
But it was actually not. No, they're like, oh, it was all fake the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I guess, yeah, let's do our rating real quick. What are you drinking with this movie? The OG Evil Dead.
The OG Evil Dead, I am drinking something old. I would say Pappy.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was literally going to drink fucking Old Forester.
Ooh, that's also a great one.
Yeah.
Cheaper than Pappy, but also a great.
It's a budget option, but man, it is like, especially because it's still, for the most part, I think they're still coming in at like 46% or something like that. So it's not dialed down. It's a beefy bourbon for sure. It has a lot to it, but it's not the highest end. It's like budget that gets it done and leaves you feeling like you fucking got hit with something.
So the movie no one would touch becomes a cult sensation, and Raimi's reward is getting told no all over again on the sequels. With that saying, because what does happen next isn't really a sequel, it's the same genre and pretty much the same movie.
Yep. We're moving now into Evil Dead 2, technically called Dead by Dawn, 1987. Now, in this movie, Ash takes his girlfriend Linda to the cabin. Same tape, same book, but it's now named the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. The demons take Linda, then they take Ash's own hand, then they take the whole night. Ash saws off his possessed hand. We get to meet some people that were referenced in the first movie, and technically from the actual tape that was played in the second in Evil Dead 2 earlier. He bolts a chainsaw to the stump of where his hand used to be and goes to war with the cabin itself until a portal rips open, drags him, his car, and this Oldsmobile back into the year 1300 AD. Yeah, pretty much at the end of the day, he's like Dorothy and he's not in Tennessee anymore.
Exactly. Released March 13th, 1987. Director Sam Raimi.
Yep.
Co-written by Scott Spiegel. That's a familiar name. Pretty sure I know that from somewhere. Producer Robert Tappert from before. Star Bruce Campbell, Ash or Ashley. Financed by D. Lawrence Entertainment Group. Studio, we don't care. Budget $3.5 million. So huge jump from the first one.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, we're going from 90,000 K to 3.5 million. And the box office was $5.9 million. So it still made some money. Runtime 84 minutes. It was shot in a junior high gymnasium in Waysburg, North Carolina.
Man, I'm trying to find where what this guy's in. Again, it's just like Sam Raimi's maybe the most dedicated director of all time. He's just loyal as shit to all his friends, because Scott Spiegel is the redneck dude in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the only thing he's in?
No, he's in lots of things. But to put things in perspective, like, I mean, we're looking at who he is. He is, let's see, obviously the Spider-Mans. He's in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Drag Me to Hell, Dusk Till Dawn 2. Let's see, Malibu's. Oh, never mind. That's Wild Malibu Weekend. I don't think I am going to watch that one. He's also in Nude Bowling Party. His name is Joe Pornofsky.
So
he's also in The Quick and the Dead.
So he's mostly in Sam Raimi movies, and that's about it.
Pretty much only in Sam Raimi movies. Like I said, Sam Raimi is quite the loyal guy. He just, anyone that decided to pretty much, sounds like, work for him for free or pay to have his movies made can just get movies. Another guy that was born in Michigan at the same time, he's literally in the same group as, we have Raimi, we have Campbell, and we have what is his name? Tappert. Honest take, Jamie, what do you think of this one?
I remember first watching this and being like, oh, so this is the same movie, but they have a better budget. I was like, this isn't the sequel. This is a remake, but with more money.
And I thought that was really interesting. This is kind of blending like our whole thing together. Like, is Evil Dead 2, what is it? Is it a sequel? Is it a remake? Or is it, we've talked about this before, a requel? Or is it something completely in its own?
No, I think it's literally the same movie with a little bit of tweaks in the writing and a lot more money.
So,
like what Sam Raimi would have done if he had the money for the first one.
So, from what I understand, because I watched this interview, I watched an interview with Bruce Campbell, and he said pretty much that Evil Dead 2 is, to me, it's not a sequel. It's a continuation of the same storyline. But what you have to do is you watch the original Evil Dead, and then when at the very end of the movie, we have the entity, I'm just going to call it, ripping through the woods, and like the last scene of the movie is Bruce Campbell getting hit by the entity, right? Cut to in Evil Dead 2, there's a scene where Bruce is flying backwards through the woods, right? So everything up until that point is just a recap of what happened in the first movie. It's not a do-over, right? They lost the rights to the movie itself because they sold it to New Line, right? So they couldn't use the same characters outside of Bruce himself because he did not sign his rights away, but they couldn't use that part of they couldn't use any of the earlier film. So that's why it's so strange. When I was first watching this, I was like, why is Ash going back to the cabin again? He already knows that it's fucked up there. What you're supposed to do is completely disregard that any of the first movie happened, and they're rewriting those intro scenes to where, things happen and his girlfriend goes crazy. And then we have the cutscenes to where, like, the family who was involved with the doctor who is researching the Necronomicon are heading to there. That's all happening in the first movie. We just don't see it. So if you were going to be a true form or like a true believer in this franchise, what you would do is watch the first movie until Ash gets hit. And then you would watch the second movie and you'd fast forward until Ash is flying backwards through the woods, hit by this entity, and he lands in like that mud puddle, right? And then everything after that is all new story. I thought that was super fascinating. It sucks when there's all these like contentions over movie rights and things like that. But I don't know if that makes it, is it a sequel or a remake? Everyone told me that this was like, oh, it's just the same movie, but it's done later with a bigger budget. But no, this movie is so different. It really does take the movie from being this like edgy horror movie into like what I would come to know as like B horror, where like it's intentionally referential. It's making fun of itself. It's hilarious. And it tries to make fun of the fact that everyone in this movie is in mortal danger. Yeah. And they treat it like it's regular life.
Like the whole laughing scene is so good.
The laughing, yeah, when they're all like, he's dancing with like in the lamps and everything is like moving with him and stuff like that. It like literally reminds me of like Disney movies when like the flowers like bend their heads over and stuff like that. Like,
the deers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this was definitely my favorite of the movies that we watched. But at the end of the day, does it matter that there's this weird discrepancy between, specifically it gets confused because like the rights got confused on it and they had to like almost remake the movie itself?
No, it makes more sense to me knowing that now. Like as a kid, I was like, this is literally, they're just remaking the same thing, not knowing anything about that. Like that's cool in my head. They're like, all right, if I can't get the rights, I'll just redo it. All right. So essentially, Bruce Campbell, solo physical comedy tour de force. He spends huge stretches acting against himself, his own hand possessed, right? He spends huge stretches acting, or he traps it in a bucket weighed down, and it's almost a wave to arms. My favorite part of that is where he puts it in a bucket and then that book is right there. The Hemingway wave to arms is right there. It's like brilliant.
A farewell to arms. You're like, yeah, that's so funny.
And then he saws it off and just like, this is where you know, like it changes from the original and he just goes groovy.
Well, I think, we start to get into like, what kind of starts to define the franchise at this point is like one-liners. And like the movie, we can tell, is very much taking a turn from being scary into being funny. And I honestly don't remember horror movies, anything in this era, like specifically being very like comedy focused.
No, and it's just, that's what makes it so great, is it doesn't take itself serious, and it's also still kind of scary.
It has its elements.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, the best line from the entire fucking second one is just like, I'll suck your soul or something like that. Or no, I'll swallow your soul. And he's like, swallow this. Bah! Just like shotgun to the face. That was I think one of my favorite it's definitely my favorite actually of the whole series. But we get these lines. It becomes like kind of like a little bit of a gag where it's like, oh, these one-liners that kind of exist that kind of drive the whole movie. While the first one was scary and I thought that it was legitimately a horror movie, this one is 100% like one of the first horror comedies that I can remember. And it does such a funny and fantastic job of balancing it, where it's like it's in between, it's funny, but it definitely like you feel the stakes. It's not like you don't care about Ash, but maybe that's because the first movie did so much to make us care. I don't necessarily know, but we care about him. We're not just like, oh, he's just a dumb idiot that like is just blundering around this cabin and like kind of survives here and there. Right? Like he even like gets possessed at a point and then comes back.
Yeah, there's still very much scary scenes. Like that whole basement scene where he goes and gets the papers, which I don't understand how someone throws the papers down like by the door, by the stairs, and then they somehow go all the way to the very end of the house. But that's not for me to think. So, and then he grabs them, he grabs some papers and he slowly backs away. I'm like, that she's behind you the whole time. And she's not,
you're looking at the water heater. She's not the water heater. Turn around.
And he backs up and then he gets like to step 3 and then she grabs him. Like, yeah, she's obviously was behind you the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought it was cool too. We like really get to like, the first one didn't have a ton of lore. Like, we don't really know why things are happening so much. This one definitely gave us, again, maybe I'm just a sucker for this, but like, we get to know what's actually happening. There was this doctor who is researching this ancient society, and he says these words. And if you replay the words, which is what Bruce Campbell or Ash does in both the first and the second movie, like, it awakens these Kandarians, and they are pretty much witches that possess the dead and possess everything around them. And so, like, we kind of get to understand a little bit more of the lore that it really is at the heart of the entire trilogy. I think we're kind of just talking a little bit about Bruce Campbell's performance.
Yeah.
Again, we talked last episode about Indy Navarrete or whatever being like so good in Obsession that, like, man, you really think about this, but like, he literally made an entire franchise on one character.
Yeah.
And that's really, really hard to do with no supporting cast that anyone even cares about. Like, I can honestly say that there is not, maybe we get to AOD and we kind of like get a little bit of like someone that we maybe know or care about. But for the most part, it's just Ash, and no one else really matters.
No, like, I don't think anyone like other than like Bobby Joe. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I could remember anyone else's name. Other than
Only
the fact
because
that
we have the dude screaming it in the woods
all the time. Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe. And also, like, there's that point where like, he like has the original like people there's daughter, and he like grabs her, like almost kisses her. I'm like, your girlfriend just died, and now you're gonna kiss this girl.
Yeah, Ash doesn't care at all.
He does
about any
not
of that,
give a
man.
fuck.
He
No,
just
does
likes
not.
ladies.
He sure does. Round 2 of what Stephen King said for this one. So the first film, his review got seen. The sequel almost did not get fun at all until King was making Maximum Overdrive with mega producer Dino De Laurentiis brought Evil Dead 2 to Dino's attention over dinner. De Laurentiis had the script translated in Italian and said yes within a day, putting up the budget. Sam Raimi credits King with making this film possible, then deliberately shot in 3 hours.
King was just like, he's behind Sam Raimi the whole way on all of this. It's pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah, so disregard all that. Damn it.
Well, but like, anyways, yeah, so Stephen King, like, not only did he see the original at Cannes, but then we have him, he's making Maximum Overdrive, which I'm assuming you've seen. I have not seen Maximum Overdrive. Yeah. But he's working with this guy, Lorenzo or Dino De Laurentiis, mega, like, super wealthy producer who just throws money at whatever that he wants to see made. And because of that, he completely funds the entire movie. We're seeing the budget go up to $3 million in this movie. He also makes it like a couple hours away from De Laurentiis' studio, so that it can pretty much go directly into studio, get turned into production, and shot and marketed immediately. There's not like, oh yeah, we need to send proofs back and this and that. It all is happening almost instantaneously.
Well, so yeah, you have to kind of give it to Stephen King. So he literally gave.
He's the king of cult, dude. Like the king of cult classics. I have to give it to him. Like, whether it's his own books or the movies, he definitely has a hand in a lot of. He has done so much for horror, obviously, not just for himself.
Well, just like good horror,
the
like
genre in general.
If he sees something good, he's gonna get people to fund it, and that's big ups.
Big ups to Stephen King, honestly. Yeah, I didn't realize he was so involved with any of this, but like going through the research, he like literally is making at least the first two happen and go out, because without these, like, what are we stuck with? We're stuck with the things that we've talked about before, where it's like maybe, and we'll see, we're not going to get into the secondary, or like I would call them like the contemporary trilogy of Evil Dead, but we've seen franchises of these 80s horror movies and 70s horror movies go completely off the rails. And I think that because they had such a strong like champion in Stephen King, Sam Raimi didn't have to go so far out of his vision for what he wanted the series to be until he got to fucking Army of Darkness.
Like we said before, this is my favorite.
Ash at the end of Evil Dead 2 goes through this crazy portal, and the franchise also goes with him. There's no more cabin, no more horror, really. What's waiting on the other side is castles, skeletons, and the single most studio-cursed movie of the three.
Ooh, what?
In special place in your heart.
And his 73 Oldsmobile land in 1300 AD, mistaken for a prophesized hero. To get home, he has to retrieve the Necronomicon.
Boom.
He has to say the magic words, Kiatu Barata. And accidentally raises an army of dead. So he rigs his boomstick and his chainsaw hand, rallies a medieval army, and fights a skeleton war for the book. The hook, depending on which country you see it in, either way, it makes it home and oversleeps into the apocalypse.
So yeah, this premiered at the Sieges Film Festival in October 9th of 1992. Sorry, February 19th, 1993. Again, our director is Sam Raimi, producer Robert Tappert. Apparently they get along well. And Bruce Campbell, as well as Embeth Davids. The studios, as we mentioned before, Dilo De Laurentiis also picks up this one in Renaissance Pictures. It's distributed by Universal. We have a budget of $11 million and a box office gathering of $21.5 million worldwide. Kind of a disappointment, honestly, if you look at the real numbers of it. But anyways, we have a runtime again of 81 minutes. I feel like the last two have been right around that 80 to 90 minute mark. We love that. The 96-minute director's cut version is, I think, the one that we mostly see now. Working titles were The Medieval Dead or, keeping it classy, Evil Dead 3. But they decided to go with Army of Darkness.
I feel like Medieval Dead is way better.
Medieval Dead's pretty sick.
Yeah, I know.
Man, that's such a cool, like, it's spelled, it doesn't make sense spelled that way, but it definitely sounds like, oh, we have Evil Dead, or like The Evil Dead, and you have Evil Dead 2, and then you have Medieval Dead. Man, it does kind of roll well with that.
So I'm going to ask this question. I think you know that my answer. Is this the weakest of the three or the most rewatchable?
I don't think it's the weakest of the three. And I honestly could say it might be the most rewatchable, but I don't think that it's the best one of the three. I just think it's the most entertaining. And that's different. Kind of what we talked about last episode, where like a good movie doesn't make it, like, isn't the same thing as the best horror movie. Both things can be true.
I personally don't think this is a horror movie.
I really don't either. It's kind of like, although I'll caveat that I do think it's a horror movie because I've seen plenty of movies that are just like this, that like most zombie movies are pretty much just along this line.
No, man.
It's action with zombies.
Hail to the King, baby. Iconic. Or the moment we get too pleased with ourselves.
I think that this movie, as you kind of see when you watch it, really does, it's the natural progression, I guess, of moving from The Evil Dead being this kind of taking itself seriously, wanting to be a horror movie, into Evil Dead 2, which really does kind of introduce the viewer into what it would mean to be a horror comedy, pushing that to the next boundary of like the absurd is the story. It's not a bug. It's the entire story, right? It works really well because of Bruce Campbell. And if you didn't have Bruce Campbell, I think that this movie would suck. And if you don't have the movies coming before it, I also think that this movie would suck. If Army of Darkness is your first movie that you're watching, none of this makes any sense. And Bruce Campbell is like, why is this guy so cheesy? But if you've seen at least Evil Dead 2 into Evil Dead 3, I think that you can probably get away with pushing away the Evil Dead. You don't need to watch that for this to make sense, but you do need Evil Dead 2. And you need to learn who Ash is as a person for this movie to like really resonate with you.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
Because I watched, like, the first one I ever saw was Army of Darkness.
Okay.
It's the first one I watched.
And you thought it ripped.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And so it made me watch the first two. And I've watched the first one as a kid. I was like, well, what's this have to do with Army of Darkness? And I watched Evil Dead 2. I was like, all right, this makes more sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that, yeah, it definitely is. But again, I'm gonna stand on my thoughts on this, that I think that without Evil Dead 2 specifically, this one seems a little confusing. Like you don't know what he's doing or why he's there. Because I don't think in the movie itself they do a great job of explaining that, but I could be wrong. I watched them obviously in direct order. So
well, I think this one kind of explains it better than all the other ones. I think Evil Dead 2 also explains things. So the first one, there's no explanation. Obviously, that's the first one. But like,
we get to understand a little bit, like implied, that evil forces were awoken by the record being played. But that's about all you get.
Yeah, so no, this one literally, Army of Darkness is like, hey, I was here with my woman, Linda, and we went to this house. We did all these things. I got sucked in here, and now I'm here. So yeah. I disagree. I think this one describes everything way more than the other one. However,
I guess that's fair.
I don't think the storyline is as good as Evil Dead 2 in this one. But I think the comedy in this one, as a young kid,
oh my God,
was so good.
Well, it's so funny. It's like, it reminds me, not like it's anything really that close to it, but like A Knight's Tale, where you have like modern people in ancient times. And there's such a funny like juxtaposition of one, how they talk and how they act and things like that, where like you have Ash being thrown from 1987, I believe, is when, but it's all technically, let's just call it taking place in 1981, because there's supposed to be a direct follow-up. It's all taking place at the exact same time. That like him being thrown back into the 1300s is really funny because, one, Ash is such a fun character. And two, he's a modern person. But those things are like, his modern personage is way more compounded by how ridiculous he is, because he is just 100% such a unique guy in the 1980s. Like, he just fits it so well. I guess we kind of have some questions, but I'm just kind of dance around him. Like, is Army of Darkness even really an Evil Dead movie?
No.
You don't think so? See, and I disagree.
I think it's completely different from Evil Dead.
Yes.
Like, but I think they keep the basis, but like, these are not
the same storyline, but it is not at all the same genre. But that's cool, right?
It's awesome.
I think that it's really cool that they've like, this is not a horror movie.
No.
I didn't really feel ever like stressed out or whatever. And it's also like tough because of the age of these movies, but like the vibe that I get from this movie is like closer to fantasy slash like, yeah, it's closer to a fantasy movie than it is to a horror movie, right?
No, I definitely
we're in like these fiction epics than we are in like a Poe type story.
I definitely laughed a lot more in this one than all the other two combined.
That's tough though, because I laughed so much. I think there was a couple scenes in this one that really actually did steal it, but like I thought Evil Dead 2 was also so funny, and like they did things that like we haven't really even gotten too much into this. Never mind. We'll get into it later because I think that the influence that the Evil Dead trilogy has had on the horror genre as a whole can't really be stated enough. No, you're 100% right. Army of Darkness is the funniest one. Whether it's the one-liners or the situational comedy where like he's getting his ass kicked by the little mirror people that like pop out and like beat his ass and then like jump inside him, and then he like turns into all of it is it's turns so into funny.
The biggest killer. Like he's the main protagonist at the end.
He's the bad guy.
Is that little tiny guy that jumped into him.
That sprouted out of him, that eventually split out of him. Like the whole thing, it's really awesome. Like
goody two shoes.
Yeah. It was like what's the line? Good or bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun.
Yeah. It just like blows his own face off kind of thing.
It's just fun. It's fun to take horror not serious. That's what I love about this movie.
Well, I think it's what, honestly, if I can be honest, like why I loved my favorite horror movies when I first started really getting into horror were the ones that didn't take it seriously, because I wasn't taking things seriously. And like, it doesn't have to always be like the most dramatic thing ever is happening. It's like, that's why Tucker and Dale was like such a fantastic movies, because it's like, it's dumb and it's stupid. And it plays on every trope that like people experience. And like you go to this haunted cabin and all of a sudden there's a creaky board and all of a sudden the board like has a nail in it and you die or whatever. But like, these are just funny things that these movies did so good at playing off of.
Tucker and Dale is so good.
Yeah, but again, and we'll get into it, like what this franchise did for horror has ripple effects 100% to this day. Again, we have this crazy story where the film pretty much was held hostage by an unrelated lawsuit. So De Laurentiis, the guy that financed Evil Dead 2 and is also the producer on this movie, owned the Hannibal Lecter rights. Now, Universal wanted them for the Hannibal Lecter rights for a Silence of the Lambs sequel. Universal used Army of Darkness as leverage to get the rights to the Silence of the Lambs sequel. So it was pretty much like, well, we have a movie that I think everyone wants to see, and we want to make Silence of the Lambs sequel. So you can have it if we can have this. This whole thing was way held up. But the Lecter sequel, Hannibal, didn't even arrive until 2001. Universal also forced the title change and banned marketing pretty much as an Evil Dead sequel. It had to be its own movie because just like the first one was not owned by Universal, or the second one was not owned by Universal, they couldn't make it tie in directly to the second or first movie. It had to be its own standalone movie because of the rights that were sold to this movie. It's just like a perfect examination of like why Hollywood is so fucking stupid, and it's not about the consumers. It's about the money and who gets to make it. Anyways,
give me
that's the whole thing. So
give me that money. Hey, said, hey, baby, I got your money. Don't you worry. Hey.
Is there something to be said for this movie or this franchise being what it is, even though it was plagued by all of this craziness? Or was like the craziness kind of expected because this series is just that crazy that like, or novel or whatever you want to call it, that like it kind of created its own controversy?
No, I think it's definitely wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think if Sam Raimi had his way, I think these movies would have been different. I think Army of Darkness would probably been just as good, but better if he had his whole say into it. So instead of Universal,
it's also just crazy. Like, you know, Ash is on record being like, yup, like, I would advise anyone that is watching this movie series to watch Evil Dead 1, skip the first 15 minutes of Evil Dead 2 directly into like when Ash gets blasted through the trees. Like, the fact that you even have to do that, and it was so confusing when I first watched it, and then I like after I finished this watched an interview with him, and he was like, yep, pretty much this is how I advise you to watch it, because we didn't have the rights to it. It's just like it makes things more complicated, because when I first watched it, I was like, oh, weird. Ash is just like, for whatever reason, going back to this cabin that he already knows is haunted and is most likely going to kill him. But that's not what happened. And the story in Evil Dead 2 is not the same story as in Evil Dead 1, even though they're trying to make it the same, but they legally have to make it different. So it just makes things even more convoluted and confusing. Fuck Hollywood, fuck the laws on all this shit. Why don't they just make things more consumable?
Well, unfortunately, it's not for us who completely enjoy horror. It's for the mass media. So that's why Army of Darkness is the way it is. I mean, they tried to mass appeal to people and it didn't work.
But it is so funny.
It's so good. But if you look, like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 gross so much more money.
Yes.
And you think about like what Sam Raimi would have done with that movie if he wasn't like restricted by Universal. It could have been scary.
I love Sam
awesome.
Raimi, but I've also seen bad Sam Raimi movies.
Oh yeah, 100%. But mostly he's a director at that point. Mm-hmm. He's not a writer. He wrote these. Like,
yes, these are his babies. Like, that's fair. Yeah, I am curious, like, just what that would look like for the franchise as a whole. You're not wrong at all.
Oh, thank you.
This one of those kind of franchises that, like, it does change its genre with every single movie. Is that a feature or a bug for the franchise?
I thought it was awesome.
I think it's great.
I think it slowly progressed a little bit more, was like a great addition.
Yeah. Yeah, moving from this, like what we would call like that traditional, like campy or classic horror into like legitimate, like fantasy / comedy, and the progression from Evil Dead 2 in the middle there works really well for the franchise. Not just in the movies, but also its legacy. Speaking of legacy, did Evil Dead like pigeonhole Bruce Campbell, or did it give him something to do for the rest of his life?
I think it's something to do with the rest of his life. I don't think he had huge roles after that, but like he's been in a lot of roles since then.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched
all on Sam Raimi's accord.
Well, there's also like Bruce Fest. Like he literally has a festival for himself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about these movies. Like I watched the first one, and I have seen, and we'll get into this 100% in the next episode. But I've seen the remake of Evil Dead. I've seen Evil Dead Rise. More so than that, Cabin in the Woods is the first half of that movie is a remake of the original Evil Dead 1981.
Mm-hmm.
It really did surprise me how like by the book they went in this movie, where like I thought this was like a pretty original style concept. And like, yes, I had seen the Evil Dead before I had seen Cabin in the Woods, like the remake one, not the 1981 version. But I'm just so blown away, one, by how much of an impact that movie specifically just relied on the original Evil Dead. And then we're talking about Tucker and Dale, and we're talking about Cabin Country, and all of these, especially in like the
Cabin Fever.
Yeah. All of these movies that like took this equation and just like did their like little plus ones, minus ones here and there to make an entire franchise out of something. And I don't know if I can think of a more influential movie than the original Evil Dead. It is cult classic, but everything has come out of one of the either Evil Dead 1 or 2, right? Horror pretty much falls into two genres, where it's one that takes it seriously and one that likes to laugh at it. And they set the groundwork for both of those. I was blown away by this series. I'm so happy you made me watch these.
I can't believe you've never seen them, dude. That's so weird to me.
Yeah, I do remember I know I've seen the remake. Yeah, going into it, like, the next episode that we do is going to be pretty much the revitalization of the franchise, the contemporary trilogy, which we're going to have the 2013 remake. We're not going to go into Ash vs. Evil Dead, but we will be covering Evil Dead Rise, and then finally Evil Dead Burns, which comes out next month in like literally 2 or 3 weeks. I think this movie comes out
July 10th. Yeah.
Yep. That's kind of the game plan, is to pretty much, we watched this because we wanted to be just hammering when that new one comes in, giving our reviews on it, and kind of just giving our honest feedback on the whole vibe.
Oh yeah, dog.
We did not pair. So we paired the first one, right? You had, I can't remember what you had. I think I had Old Forester for the first one. I'm going to go with something along the lines of maybe like,
is this for
Angel's Envy? Evil Dead 2. I'm going to think of like Angel's Envy, or maybe even, I don't know, something new that's like kind of popped up as like, oh, that's a really good one. Like maybe Blanton's. I know that Blanton's is not new, but it's really become something a little bit more than it used to be. What do you got for Evil Dead 2?
I have Heaven Hills.
Heaven Hill, dude.
Because
good call.
It was once fantastic and it burned to the ground.
Okay. Now, Army of Darkness. What are you drinking?
I am drinking. Oh, I want to say Jack Fire, but I don't think it gives it.
It like tricks you. You're like, oh, I'm going to see a horror movie. And it's like, wait, that was a comedy. Like, I'm gonna drink whiskey. Be like, no, wait a minute. That was a child beverage.
Yeah, like I'm kind of drinking whiskey, but I'm also not drinking whiskey. Even though I like it, it's not like Fireball. I was drinking Fireball. That's gross, but it's like Jack Fire. So I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit better than Fireball.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I went to this one that I remember telling you about a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a couple years ago. But it's what is it? It's not Brulati. It's Glendalough.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the Glendalough Double Barrel. It's
Ooh,
new on the
Irish,
scene.
Irish whiskey, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the medieval times. We're most likely in, honestly, in Army of Darkness. We're probably somewhere in I wouldn't call it the Middle East, but like maybe like the Near East, somewhere Turkey or something like that. It's something new, especially like they're using. It's both finished in Irish oak or in white oak as well as port casks. Just like kind of like a newish kind of thing.
Right. It's new, but old.
It's better than fucking Fireball.
Yeah. Jack Fire, baby.
Jack Fire is better than Fireball.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Yep.
What do you think the best line of Army of Darkness was?
Army of Darkness? Oh, man. It's really funny when he can't remember the words because he legitimately tells the dude that he's fine and he doesn't need to remember them.
I'm fine.
It's Klaatu Barda Nikto. I wrote that down because I knew that it was going to come up later. And he's like, Klaatu Barda Nikto.
It's an N word. It's an N.
Yeah. So I like that one. This is my boomstick. It's fucking sick. And then like as he's kissing the cashier, "Hail to the King, baby," is pretty fucking epic. I think those are the best ones from Army of Darkness. I think the best one in the whole series is 100% Swallow This. Because the demon is like, "I'll swallow your soul," and he just fucking takes the shotgun, "Swallow this," and just blasts the face apart. I think it's the best line in the whole series. So that's just my personal opinion, though.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think he's like, "Yeah, what's that on your face?"
He just tosses the dirt on it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We talked about that before. It's so funny. "Hey, what's that on your face?" "What?" And they look to the side and he just tosses a bunch of dirt on his head.
No, there's a couple of those that are just great.
Yeah.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Those are like the classic ones, but man, you definitely nailed that. Like, "Hey, what's that on your face?" There's another one in Army of Darkness that is like really funny like that. I can't remember what he says, but there's one that's like, "Oh, your shoe's untied," and he just like kicks him in the stomach, or he punches him in the stomach, like that kind of thing. Was like, what the? That's a '90s joke all over.
Oh, to us, we're like, "Yeah, this is cheesy," but like, "Yeah, this is awesome."
Yeah, no, it's so funny. They did such a good job. I will give you all the credit. I am so happy you made me watch these because I, one, deserve it, and two, it's just so good, and it is the basis for everything that we're seeing today. So
yeah, I can't believe I've never seen it before. All right,
snaps in the chat to Jamie.
Oh, hey,
big ups to you, dude. Thanks for getting us through at least the original trilogy of the Evil Dead, all of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead.
All right.
Take us away, dog.
Send us out. Thank you so much. We're so appreciative of all that you do for us by listening and watching and subscribing and pushing those buttons. So please continue to push those buttons. Tell all your friends. Please listen. With that being said,
subscribe.
Yeah. Please stay weird.
And stay wicked. And definitely stay wasted.
I'm a velociraptor.